Welcome, everyone, to the Salt Lake Expositor, featuring Randy Watts' MomoNomo 50,000 watt channel,
Hey,
Gene
guys.
Judson's 1200 watt Ladder Daily Digest, and Jessicca Frenkel, popular Facebooker, we'll say. So, good afternoon, you guys.
Hi.
How
Randy,
the heck
how
are
doing?
you, Gene?
I'm doing okay. You tell us how you are now.
Well, it's like I say, every day above ground's a great day. Since I worked in the funeral industry, I have learned something very important about life, and that is appreciate every single moment that you have alive. Kiss your loved ones goodbye, even if they're just going to 7-Eleven for a big gulp. They may not come home. They may not make it back. Um, and that's evidenced by the hundreds and hundreds of people that would come through the funeral home uh, who had no idea that they wouldn't make it back home. So when I say every day above ground is a good day, I really, truly mean it. It is a wonderful day because we're all able to fog a mirror.
Yeah, I always like that. So I like the backstory to that. And I also think, to me, as leaving Mormonism and Christianity, as far as I'm concerned, this is the only life we have. So I make it more count now, because I feel like in religion before, it was all about the afterlife and everything will be shiny, glory, happy, gold, whatever there. And now I'm definitely uncertain what that will be. So for now, I'll just take this life, and yes, I make it count above ground as long as I have it.
So what you're saying is eat, drink, and be merry.
Yes. We're not married. Ha ha ha.
Right?
Yeah.
I feel super good whenever there's chocolate or ice cream around.
Oh, I'm with you there too.
But I'll pretty much eat anything.
Yes.
How was your burrito, Gene?
It was good. It was a 15-inch shrimp burrito that I shared with Michelle.
Shrimp.
Size doesn't matter. As long as it's a,
It
as
depends
long
on
as
who you're
it's a
talking
good
to.
burrito. Yeah. What's
That's what she
inside?
said.
That's right. It was from a taco truck that I've made some Uber deliveries from, Uber Eats. And so I thought I would try it for myself. And it made us delayed a little bit because I thought I ordered it to go and they hadn't made it yet.
Well, thanks a lot. Now I'm hungry. Now I think I want
me
a
too.
burrito. I have been saturated with social media stuff this week. And, we were chatting last week, and I think I mentioned something about reels versus stories. And so I started putting a few Facebook reels out there, and oh my gosh,
It's
I've
fun,
been
right?
inundated. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
This is how, you get tons of responses. Some
Yeah.
people love it, some people hate it. I always have the same people who want to argue against my points, and I tell them all the same thing. If you see anything in our podcast here on Expositor or on any of the other shows that I do or Gene and I do, if you see anything that's untrue, write it down. Let me know. I'll buy you a steak dinner.
Yeah.
But I tell them, you get a little upset at some of the things I say, pointing things out about the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because that's what this show is about. Salt Lake Expositor. We're exposing some of those things that are wrong that maybe we can help right by letting people know about some of the things going on like this week. Jessicca, what's been the major story
And Randy,
this week?
and I'll tell people real quick, if you want just the positive, curated good news, subscribe to the Deseret News, and every Sunday you get the church news. Subscribe to the Leahona, subscribe to all those things, because they'll only tell you what they want you to hear.
Yep. Stay in the bubble.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know how much
point.
the Deseret News is covering ICE protests, but you're going to get it here if you subscribe to the Deseret News.
Yes.
And the reason is because it's not just random people that are affected by ICE. This is everybody that's being affected by it. and even the members of the church in Salt Lake in Utah and the non-members alike. Utah is in on the game.
Yep.
What have you found, Jessicca, this week about what has most struck you about what's going on?
I mean, I live in Texas. So, we're a state that borders Mexico. So we highly, mixed culture for sure. And a little bit off topic, but my son's school demonstrated. So there were a couple hundred kids demonstrating against ICE. And what I at least, and they were not the only high school in San Antonio or Texas, but it's apparently really unusual that high school kids, like college, I think we all know, those are the older kids who kind of get involved with politics. But for high school kids, it's really unusual. And that by itself is a statement, if you ask me, that high school kids make it a point that they see the trouble, what's going on in our country, is sad and disturbing both at the same time.
That as young as they are, they can rationalize, they can make their judgments. And, the majority of the students I see are against ICE and what's going on, although I have seen some troublemakers that we'll mention today in the show.
Yep, they're always there, unfortunately, but we'll here to fight it.
Have you been out protesting, Gene?
I've been supporting the Hispanic community by eating a burrito today, but also I met a protester on Friday, a high school student who said that school let out a little early and they closed off the main intersection in a local neighborhood so that the students would be safe when they were protesting that area. And there was a helicopter flying overhead and things were happening. I know that Maven Brody said that she was going to try to join the protest today in Portland. And I don't know if we'll hear from her later or not, but we'll see what happens.
That's awesome.
That is awesome, yeah.
Well, and there's so many facets of this whole thing, so many things that are going on, not just the protests in the streets, not just ICE rounding people up, but what they're doing to families. And I'm just going to kick off a video. Typically we have additional segments like Jessicca adding in the last few stories or maybe having Megan contribute. But this week we're watching a few videos and I think all the time will be taken up anyway. So we'll hurry to get it all in, but I'll kick the ball off. You two talk amongst yourselves, but let me pull up a video here that I think would be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, ICE is just the whole thing that it exists by itself to me is already shocking. Why do we need them? We have police force, we have border control. Like, why do we even need this institution? I don't understand. I never had a real good conversation with anybody about that. Those people are randos. They can't even show their face. And we know from history, you can look into Germany, Gestapo, you can look into American history, the Ku Klux Klan. People who have to mask their faces are not on the good side. I'm sorry, they're not on the right side of history. I mean, just take that hint.
That's right. And I'm pretty sure ICE has been around for a long time, but just the way the current government is using ICE mirrors or replicates, other types of countries that are dictatorships or otherwise top controlling countries where they have like goon squads or something. It's just too bad that in America, my friends from high school just don't see that some of these things are against the Constitution. The Constitution says stuff and it talks about people have rights. Everybody has rights. Even non-citizens have rights. It doesn't say only citizens have rights. It just says people are allowed to go through this process or whatever.
And just to give maybe people here backstory, right? I mean, most of them I think know by now that I'm German, but so we were immigrants, obviously never illegal, but to get papers, it's not easy. I think a lot of Americans underestimate just get papers. Why don't you get papers? Why are you here illegal? So first of all, I had the advantage, right? I knew English. A lot of people who come here on a way more, obviously Germany is not, we didn't came here for peace and freedom. We came here because we wanted to, right? And for my husband's job. But most of those immigrants don't come. They're already distraught. They're already, coming from fear, and they don't speak the language. So then we had an attorney. Our company had an attorney. So 2 attorneys working on it. And just to give also people an idea that this doesn't come for free. So we were a family of 5 when we signed up to get the green card, which is also a little bit more safer for immigrants to stay in the country than just on a working visa, because then you're 100% dependent on your company. So if they fire you, we would have 30 days to find a new job, or we had to leave the country.
Oh.
Another important fact, when people think, oh, you have a working visa, then you are so dependent on your company. So that can be, for my husband, it wasn't that big of a deal, but for other people, that means like they can be misused, because the company can always say, well, if you don't do it, we fire you, and find a job in 30 days. That's not that easy. But again, to put in also a number and a price tag on it. So for 5 people to get the green card is $25,000. Tell me a family who runs from their country who has that kind of money. Please tell me.
Right. And for people who say, oh, my grandparents came here legally. Yeah, they are great-grandparents or great-great-grandparents. Yeah, they came to Ellis Island in a boat. Exactly. They went on an island and they signed their name in a book, and they got a health checkup to make sure they weren't actively having cholera or some other disease. And then they got to come to America.
Exactly.
America was the melting pot.
Yes. Yes.
So
give me you're tired, you're poor. Your huddled masses yearning to be free.
Yeah.
That's what it says at the base of the Statue of Liberty.
Exactly. And then again, right, then you have the whole thing of like, they stole the land. It wasn't really, they came here as immigrants per se either. There were people here. So, I mean, that we don't need to go to. So it's just frustrating, especially I feel like for me, I am German, it's not like, oh yeah, my ancestors were 10, generations ago, but every white person in America should appreciate immigration, should be like, okay, how can we help them? I'm not saying it's ideal right now. I'm not saying nothing has to be done, but you should have more compassion and say, okay, how can we help them be legal? And then also, if you claim you're rounding up the murderers and rapists and drug dealers, then show us proof. How many have you rounded up that actually are on that list? Or how many are just regular citizens who have a job and are decent people? Then prove us, show us the proof. I keep asking, where's the proof? Where are all the murderers you have caught so far?
You can empathize with these folks so much better than Gene and I can, because this hits a little closer to home for you, having to have made that trip over here. And thank heavens Trump wasn't in office at that time.
But still, on the other hand, right, like I said, I did not come from a country where I was running because I was fearful. I also have the right skin color. I'm well aware of that. I'm not the target immigrant, because that's the funny thing. A lot of white Americans don't have a problem with white immigrants, right? It's the immigrant with the other skin color, with a brown or darker skin color. So let's be honest about this too. There is a lot of racism in it. It's not just every immigrant, everybody is so concerned about being legally here.
Well, now, according to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, Jessica, those people with darker skin, whatever race it may be, were the evil people who bore the mark of Cain, or who were the fence sitters in the pre-existent. So their punishment is to have brown skin so as not to be white and delightsome, so as not to attract the sinless Nephites.
Yep. And don't mix the races either, right? That was a big no-no for a lot of Mormons, even until 70s and 80s.
Brigham Young said if a white person and a black person are seen together, they should both be killed on the spot.
Yes. And he was the biggest racist.
No bigotry in the church, right? No prejudices here.
No. Mormon amnesia is always so convenient, What?
Right.
We said this? We moved on from it, right, Hinckley? We moved on.
Yeah, sure we have. But where's the apology? I don't think I remember that happening.
Or the repentance of it.
Right? Exactly. Where's the repentance? Yeah. It's funny. In order to fully repent, apology is one of the main components for repentance.
But the first is to admit even you did make a mistake, right? And
Well, the church does not apologize.
Nope.
And they've
not
stated that.
admitting.
We don't offer any and we don't seek any.
Yep.
We don't apologize. Now that's Christ-like, isn't it?
Absolutely. And apparently the word, what was it, Oakes? Was it Oakes who said apparently the word apology is not even in the Book of Mormon? Well, you don't need the word to know how to do it, do you?
No kidding. So repentance is in there, seeking repentance. That doesn't necessarily mean from God. That means from the person you offended too.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of you listening, I think probably if I were to take a stab at it, I'd say that most of our listeners are more on the liberal side, towards the left. But whether you're on the right side or the left side, no one is allowed to take offense at what we say today because we're not telling anything untrue. We are simply giving you the facts, which is what we do here at the Expositor. So if you're all for ICE doing what they're doing, you'll still be interested in this. If you're against ICE doing what they're doing, you'll be interested in this as well.
Right. We're trying to not put any falsehoods out there. But if we do say something that's our opinion could be different than other people's opinions as well. But we are going to present some things and then talk about them. So Randy,
well, and you can be comforted in knowing that if it's ever my opinion, it's right. I'm never wrong and I don't apologize. Just kidding. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to share this with you right here. We're going to watch the whole video because everything he says is extremely important. This has an effect on what's going on with the families that ICE is gathering and rounding up and throwing into their respective pens, if you will.
So I just spent the morning at an immigration courthouse here in San Antonio. Yesterday, I came down here to get access to two of the big detention centers here, Dilley and Pearsall. I was denied entry to those facilities in violation of the law. I think we will win this case in court, but it is just confirmation that the administration is hiding something in these big detention centers, and it should worry everybody that they are not allowing members of Congress inside. This morning, I went to an immigration court, and what I saw was just absolutely bone-chilling, and I want to talk to you about it for a second. So at these courthouses, you have immigrants who are playing by the rules, who want to do this the right way. So they have applied for asylum. They are showing up for their required court appearances. They are here legally. And what I saw was just a mockery of that process. So inside the courtroom, you have the judge and you have the individual or the family. They are in the process of applying for asylum. Most of them likely have winning claims, right? They are fleeing legitimate terror or torture, but it all doesn't matter because outside the courtroom, in a very narrow hallway, are ICE officers just waiting for these people to come out of their hearing so that they can arrest them, throw them into detention, and remove them from the country as quickly as possible. It feels like a series of disappearances because once they are removed to these giant detention centers, nobody knows what happens to them in many cases because they don't let members of Congress in. One of the detention centers we visited yesterday has 1,800 people. And you know how many rooms they have dedicated for space for detainees to meet with their lawyers? Four. So lawyers can't even get access to people when they're in there. And before they know it, they're gone. They've left the country. These are essentially disappearances. But here's what else we learned. The judges, right, are not like judges confirmed by Congress. They're just employees of the federal government. They're employees of the Department of Justice. And what Trump has decided to do is rig the courtroom. So it's not enough that when you go through your proceeding and you walk outside, you just get thrown into detention by ICE officers. They now only want immigration judges who are going to rule against immigrants 95% of the time. So last night, one of the judges who was implementing the law, who was being fair, was fired. So she just wasn't at work this morning. There was one less judge there. And of course, that's a sign to all the other judges that if they don't order removals, if they don't terminate cases as quickly as Stephen Miller wants them to, they'll be fired too. I got the chance to actually talk to the ICE officers, and it was revealing. I asked them a simple question. From what we're being told, you're prioritizing criminals. This is targeted enforcement. So tell me, what's your criteria for who you're arresting at this courthouse? Basically, what they said is that our criteria is that they're breathing. I mean, they did say, we're arresting everyone. We're detaining everyone because our orders are to put everyone in detention, no matter the legitimacy of their claim. We heard reports at a roundtable we just did that some of the DHS attorneys who are inside the courtroom will text the ICE officers outside the courtroom to tell them when a case has been dismissed, so that the ICE officers can immediately apprehend them and put them into detention. It's not just adults either. It's kids. It's kids. At the end of the morning, lawyers and advocates knew we were there. And so we got a request, an urgent request. There was a young couple, who had showed up in person for their hearing. They had their 2-year-old daughter with them. And they asked me to sit in on their hearing in hopes that maybe ICE would be less likely to put this 2-year-old child into jail if there was a United States senator standing beside them. So that's what we did. We went into the courtroom. We sat behind them at the end of their case. We walked with them out of the court, quickly into the elevator, down to the parking lot, got them to their car. And, there's no certainty in this, but what their lawyer said is that it was likely that if you weren't there, at the very least, the father would have been taken from his 2-year-old child. Again, this father is playing by the rules. He's doing everything he is required to do. I talked to him a little bit about why he fled his country, and he had a very legitimate case. His life was likely very much in danger if he stayed. The worst case would have, of course, been that the 2-year-old child would have been taken. And the facility we wanted to get into yesterday, Dilley, is a facility that has hundreds of children. In fact, I think they likely have hundreds of children under the age of 5. It's a baby jail. It's a baby jail. And this little 2-year-old, literally sucking a lollipop inside the courtroom, was maybe seconds away from being in jail. And maybe the only thing that stopped it is that we just happened to be there. This isn't the law. This is the Trump administration making up an entirely new law. So you want to know why some of us are not willing to fund this Department of Homeland Security without reforms? It's because there is a daily abuse of the law that is happening. These families are obeying the law. They are showing up in court, and they have ICE officers right outside getting ready to whisk them away. So I just think it's really important that you know this, because the administration's saying, oh, well, this is about the safety of our communities. This is about people who are here illegally. This is about targeting criminals. It's about none of that. None of this family, this young mother and father who fled violence in their home country with their 2-year-old daughter, they are not a threat to anybody. I don't think they had any arrests or violent convictions. They're not members of a gang. They're just being spirited away, or were at risk of being taken away, simply because of a hateful, divisive, nonsensical policy that has no connection to the law. So I just wanted to share this experience with you. It was one of the most frightening things that I've ever seen. It's a mockery of the legal process, because nothing in that courtroom matters if the minute you walk out, you end up in the hands of ICE. And it's part of the reason why many of us do not think that we should fund this version of the Department of Homeland Security without reforms. Because what is the message that we are sending to the Trump administration when the Trump administration is just ignoring the laws passed by Congress, implementing their own version of justice. What message does it send if we move forward and fund what they are doing without any checks, without any restraints, without any reforms? So I am never going to forget what I saw inside that courtroom today. I'm determined to try to sort of right the injustice of members of Congress being denied access to these facilities. But I'm going to tell this story of what I saw. Again, I was only there for a handful of hours. I'm going to tell this story to anybody that will listen. This is not America. This is not right. And more people need to know what's going on inside these courtrooms.
Randy, the Mormon atheist says, I don't know, man, this guy seems a bit over the top. Who was this person talking?
He was a senator. I don't recall his name right at the moment. I'm being
Some sort of representative from Texas, I believe.
Yeah.
And he
Over the
wanted to
top?
let everybody know that their laws, and they're not obeying the current laws. They're making up their own laws. So that's why the guy seems a little bit over the top, I think.
And I think, honestly, when things are so distraught, I think it's okay to be over the top. We should all be over the top upset about it. I mean, I can give an example. We live in San Antonio, where this guy was talking about, right? And my son in his high school has a kid. He's a friend. He played basketball with him. And his mom has 3 jobs. She has a working allowance. And even the kid, I mean, he's 16, works, but he goes with a bike because they can only afford 1 car to work to support his little family. And he is afraid every day that he goes home and his mom will not make it home. And the problem is they're just rounding those people up. Yes, his mom has papers, but often they don't want to see it. They just want to collect them all. Then she might be taking days in jail or whatever. They collect them and until she's actually in front of the court. So I told my son, please tell him if this ever happens, he's sleeping at our house. He's not alone at home. Because they're still kids, even though he's a teenager, they're kids, they're afraid, and his mom is all he has. No father, or at least not in the picture, no siblings, no family, at least in the US. So this is all of us should be really, really, really sad and upset about this. This is not right. And again, like this guy said as well, where are the criminals? Who are they picking up? Just random. You breathe and you have a brown skin color, we pick you up. I mean, that's maybe a funny anecdote, but I've seen like Mexicans here having reels and kind of like driving with their paper glued to their front head. So if they're in their car, hopefully ICE can see, hey, I'm legally here. That's not okay. It's funny, and I'm glad they can see humor in it, but it's not at all. But that's the point. That's the problem.
To my dear Mormon atheist friend, I'll tell you what's over the top. Oh, there's something over the top. What's over the top is having an administrator, a president who has completely forgone all of the laws that we've heretofore set, the Constitution, everything set in place to make this country run smooth. And this dictator comes in and just completely ignores the laws, sends his own goon squad out to start rounding up everyone who looks different in this United States and throw them in jail, just like the representative said, throw them in jail until they can prove that they're not scum. That's over the top right there.
And also, if you think so, show us the proof that it's over the top. Where's your experience? Where's your knowledge? Where's your stories that this is over the top? We challenge you. Then show us, why is he over the top? For your liking or facts?
Right. And I think there is that's what it sounds like, and it is. And maybe like the Mormon atheist also saying, maybe Trump wants over the top responses, because that takes eyes away from other things that are maybe nefarious that are going on at the same time. So we have to be vigilant about everything. But Trump is sure lighting a whole bunch. It's like lighting a whole bunch of fires on the edge of the forest, knowing that you can't put them all out.
Sounds a little bit like the Mormon church, doesn't it?
Well, speaking of that, let's kind of bend it around here.
Mhm.
What is the Mormon church, the standard of Christ-like, according to the members of the church? What are they doing to help these incarcerated families that are unrighteously rounded up, killed, or incarcerated? What is the church's stance on it? Gene, what does their statement say?
So I don't have that stuff.
Well, I'll tell you what it says.
Okay.
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing. There's no
Or
statement.
if they say something, it's always the same. What is it? They're quoting the article of faith, that you keep the law of the land.
Obeying,
That's
honoring,
all
and
they have.
sustaining the laws.
That's all they have. But that's not real statement. That's saying nothing. How is that supporting anyone? And also, if you think the law is always on the right side of history, guess what? In this country, it was the law to own slaves. No, law doesn't mean morals. Law doesn't mean it's right. So what does it even say? And then the church, who literally started off breaking the law, aka living polygamy, is now claiming to be the law-abiding citizens, and that's what matters. How is that not hypocritical?
There you go.
Right? Yeah. I have a few more things to show us, but why do you think that so many LDS people are on the right side with Donald Trump? 67%.
Yep.
This is, I'm happy to show you the map and the red states and but 67% of LDS people are in Trump's corner supporting him.
Yep.
Why? I mean, I'm being serious. Why? He's nothing Christ-like. He's not an example to our kids. He's doing everything that's the antithesis of what a Christian man would do.
I mean, the
Why
only
this
answer,
support?
even as a believing Mormon, is that in general, Mormonism is a conservative religion, right? So there's a little bit of that. But even as a Mormon, I remember, so when he was running against Hillary Clinton, we had, do you guys remember that when the high priests had activities like with couples, right? Like all the high priests in the ward with their spouses. And so my husband and me were there. And I would say high priests in general in Mormonism are a little bit higher up, whatever you want to call it, right? So those are kind of like the elite already from, Mormonism men. So those, only those couples were there. And it was a game night. It was light. But one question was who everybody would vote for. And call me naive, or maybe I'm too much a German Mormon where politics isn't really that big of a deal because obviously there's, not the same parties in Germany and so on. But I really thought, naive me, that half the people would at least said they would vote for Hillary, right? And it was literally us, the Germans, and a convert couple who also have brown skin who would vote for the third party. And I said, definitely Hillary. Everybody in this fucking room. And one guy even said, oh, for my wife, it's just tradition. It goes way back. They always voted Republicans. I'm like, that's the shittiest reason I heard in my life. Why you vote for a party. And then obviously we know in Mormonism it's also abortion, right? That's why a lot of Mormons tend to vote for Republicans. All those superficial reasons. But I'm like, isn't a party more than just one or two things, really?
What do you think, Gene?
Well, yeah, I think that, the people in the seats in the pews are taught to behave certain ways. We're taught to do what is right and let consequence follow. But the people that are at the top are maybe hedging their bets. They're maybe wondering, they're trying to strategize. They're not just doing the right thing and let the consequences follow. They're trying to see how it'll affect the stocks that they have, all kinds of other things. And so that's what I think about that.
I think you're spot on. What will best serve their hedge funds and the loyalty that is shown better go towards the side that's going to make them the most money, which just kills me.
Yep.
Jessica came up with another video that I wanted to share with you that explains a little more about the church's stance on this. I'll just play it. You know, Gene, will you introduce Julia?
So Julia Sanders also has her own channel. I can't think of what it's called now.
Mormon analyzing or something? Mormonism
Analyzing Mormonism.
Now we got it.
And she also works for John DeLynn at Mormon Stories. And she is getting her, I think, master's degree in history or something like that. And she wants to be a historian, and that's pretty awesome. And
she is a great podcaster, and she stands up for the right that I've always seen. I know that she's a member of the LGBTQ community and fights for those rights as well. But anyway, let me just share this with you. I think it's a valuable video, and it's not very long.
The truth is that the church does speak out about immigration, but it doesn't come hard on either side. And I think that's the point.
Archbishop Desmond Tutu is quoted as saying, "If you are neutral in situations of injustice, you have chosen the side of the oppressor." While the church has not made any new statements, they have spoken on immigration in the past. I'll also say that while the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has been silent on the recent dealings with ICE, other churches have not been. A Baptist bishop, Reverend Craig Loya, called for help to put pressure on the U.S. Senate not to give ICE further funds and for ICE agents to leave Minnesota. U.S. Catholic leader Cardinal Joseph Tobin has called for the defunding of ICE. Jesus once said, "He that is not with me is against me." Jesus also said, "Ye have heard that it hath been said, Thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thine enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you." He also said, "For I was an hungered, and ye gave me meat. I was thirsty, and ye gave me drink. I was a stranger, and ye took me in. Naked, and ye clothed me. I was sick, and ye visited me. I was in prison, and ye came unto me." Instead, the Mormon Church has said things like, "We acknowledge that every nation has the right to enforce its laws and secure its borders. All persons subject to a nation's laws are accountable for these acts in relation to them." There is a growing difference in this nation, with those who follow the teachings of Christ and those who call themselves Christian.
Pretty interesting, huh?
She was really good to pit the words of Jesus against what is actually happening.
Mm-hmm.
And that's pretty telling.
And to circle what the church said about, yeah, we believe they have the right to do what they're doing.
I mean,
I hope that my ass.
I mean, I repeat it because I did a screenshot of this one. We acknowledge that every nation has the right to enforce its laws and secure its borders. Would you say that to a Muslim country where women have no right even to look out of the window anymore? Would you have said that to Nazi Germany? Well, they have the right to enforce their laws. Oh, wow, look at you. How
Trump is telling Iran right now, don't
Right?
do anything to your protesters.
Exactly.
That's our job to do.
My ass,
our
right?
protesters.
Yeah, exactly. And then I did a little bit because there's always, and Jasmine is the perfect Mormon apologist, right? The first is always, "Oh, how wonderful. The church is so neutral." Yeah, my ass, are they neutral?
No,
So I'll tell you a little bit where our Mormon church is always so neutral, never involved in 90% of Utah legislator, 90% are Mormon. Don't tell me there's not the church in the background, or they at least know what the church wants, so therefore they enforce it, right? So then also let's think, under Brigham Young, Utah was a theocracy. Great. In 19th century Utah, the church was deeply involved in governance, with leader holding offices, endorsing parties. Then equal rights amendment in the 1970s were at play, and they were a key role to defeat it because their fear was the women wouldn't stay at home. So we need a law for that.
In fact, during the Equal Rights Amendment, church leaders were having people write down license plate numbers of people that were attending rallies in favor of equal rights. And they were using that information to punish members of the church. And so,
It's
yeah.
insane.
And
then-
you're probably going to say Prop 208.
Yes, that was the last one. Correct.
Prop 8
Exactly. The
in
newest
California.
one, Prop 8, right?
In
I mean,
2008.
don't tell me you're not involved in politics. That's bullshit, Jasmine, and you know it. They're not neutral. So where is your statement when it comes to ICE? And like she said, there were multiple other religions and leaders doing statements, saying something. Yeah, and I love this map because also if you look at most of the rallies, they were in Salt Lake and Park City. Those are the only blue spots on this map.
Yep.
So
everything else is red for Republican, right, and wrong.
exactly. And I think the number I looked it up was like 75% of Mormons voted Republican. Is it a surprise to us? No. But don't tell me then, they're neutral and they have no opinions. They thought, what was it in the AP article, that Trump stands for holiness and family. That's what Mormons thought. That's why they voted for this disturbing man.
Yeah, grab him by the family. Is that what he said?
Yeah, wholesome family.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you can have 4 wives, right? I mean, that's not the problem. Look at him. He pulled it off. Well, that's actually quite on Mormon.
Yep.
Not too long ago, we would have been totally fine with this being totally legal.
He does share a few traits with some of the Mormon folks I know.
Yes. And then the other thing I find interesting, which also, goes back to that article of Faith in Mormonism, like the Mormon church claiming to always keep the law. I looked up how often the Mormon church broke the law, right? I mean, it should be a leading example of not doing it. I mean, the newest one is the SEC, right? But then it was interesting. It said, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints has violated various laws over its history, including a significant historical conflict with the U.S. government over polygamy and more recent violations of financial disclosure law. And then look at Joseph Smith and his fraud bank. And then Brigham Young, he was even in front of the court because he didn't paid alimony to some of his wives. I mean, that's maybe just the little part of it, but it shows. And we all know Joseph Smith, how often was he in front of the court or how many allegations? 200. Even if I'm really, really gracious and say maybe half of it was nothing to it, there's still hundreds left. And you want to claim that's the prophet and prophet makes mistakes? Yeah. Maybe, but you not go to court for that.
I love this bumper sticker that's going around Utah.
Yes.
Choose the left.
The left. So
that's from ldsdems.org. ldsdems.org.
Yes.
Democrat.
So we want to be fair. There are Mormons who are really distraught by the whole thing too. And I applaud them. And there are lots of those people who speak up and they have their own accounts. And I think I sent you the video from this one lady from Minnesota who is
I'm getting it real up right now.
Yeah, trying to speak up for the LDS community. And I thought it was interesting, but let's talk about it afterwards. Let's listen to her first.
I know there's also another organization called Mormon Women for Ethical Government.
Yeah, there are a couple of, that's what I'm saying. To be fair, there are a couple speaking up, but it's the minority, not the majority.
Let's hear what she has to say.
Yep.
Minnesotan here and member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, LDS or Mormon, the same church that produced Harry Reid, Democratic Senate Majority Leader for 8 years, Mitt Romney, Republican nominee for president who voted to impeach Trump, Martha Hughes Cannon, polygamous wife, physician, suffragist, and first female senator in the U.S., defeating her own husband to do it, and Mike Lee, Republican senator from Utah, who compared Donald Trump to one of our religion's most honorable figures and also mocked the political assassination of one of my state's lawmakers, Melissa Hortman, in a grotesque social media post. So in short, we are not a monolith. Not only do we not all live in Utah or the United States, not all of us are MAGA, not by a long shot. I started this account in the fall of 24, hoping to persuade more members of my faith to vote Democrat in order to prevent exactly what we are all living through right now. And over the last almost year and a half, this account has grown to over 53,000 people, many of whom are members of my faith. As a lifelong member, former missionary, and current early morning seminary teacher, I know our doctrine and history well. We left the confines of the US because of religious persecution and became essentially illegal immigrants in Mexico, which only later became a US territory. Many of the mainstream majority Christians in this country and administration are the ones who persecuted us in the past and still have prejudice against us today, as they do anyone who believes differently from them. MAGA Christians are not believers in a Big Tent society. We, on the other hand, have always fought for religious freedom because of our own painful history and have developed many strong interfaith relationships over the decades. Our 11th article of faith states, let them worship how, where, or what they may. Between our history, our present, our longstanding missionary efforts, to many of the countries that today's immigrants are coming from, and especially because of our professed desire to follow Jesus Christ, the ultimate champion of the marginalized, the foreigner, the outcast, the oppressed. It is far past time for more members of my faith to be speaking up. The Jesus we believe in fought for those who were brutalized by the oppressive government they lived under and those who were shunned by the Pharisaically religious. Both groups more obsessed with justice than mercy, the letter of the law than the spirit. This is what is happening in our country today under this Christian nationalist administration that convinces people of faith to be more outraged about abortion and trans people than our own government, using tens of billions of our tax dollars to generously fund and send untrained, unvetted, undisciplined men into our cities in masks, heavily armed, to roam the streets, break into homes without warrants, looking for Black and brown people, regardless of their criminal record, legal status, or even citizenship. They violently, indiscriminately take people from work, school, Minnesotan here. And
I mean, I applaud her for what she said, right? And as a Mormon, active Mormon, I would have eaten it up. Like, I was always liberal, and I think maybe even as a female, you maybe more tendency to that. But she has some blind spots too. And so, I mean, we could hear it again. She used the whole thing was like, we need law-abiding citizens, and then the persecution complex, which is so tiring in Mormonism because were you persecuted? Yes, but nobody's saying that. But for a legit reason, you married teenage girls, and then you got kicked out of cities. Surprise, surprise. I mean, let's drop this act of persecution, and we can relate so much. And then you go to Utah and kill the indigenous people. That sounds not so much like persecution to me. That
I would say persecution is when a van full of masked men get out and start attacking you and maybe dragging you into the van. That to me is more like persecution, not somebody muttering, calling you Mormon instead of a member of the Church of Jesus Christ or Latter-day Saints.
Fair point, exactly. And the whole, which is Christianity, or even I would say religion in itself, is this whole claim, and the Mormons with Utah, like it's our God-given right to own Utah, right? No, hell no, that's not how it works, right? Zionists and all this claim of apparently your God gives you some land. Like, what if I say I believe in Zeus, and Zeus told me now, I should own Texas?
Right.
I'm a Zeus man.
Right? So I, again, went through her comment section, which obviously is a lot of liberal Mormons, and they were all applauding her, and I totally get this, but there were some interesting comments. And I'm not using the haters because that doesn't help at all. But they were at least a little bit more like, can we think about what you say? Because I think she's on the right track. But like I said, there are some blind spots because she also needs her religion to be good and true. So one comment was, if the first presidency would speak up against these atrocities, then maybe more members would open their eyes and finally see that America is being destroyed from within. Maybe they would speak up for the Constitution that they claim is inspired by God. Maybe then. But Mormonism didn't believe in an inspired Constitution from the beginning.
If only we had living prophets that we can hear raise their voices and show up on CNN or somewhere and talk to everybody about what God wants.
Yeah, take a peek around the corner and let us know what's coming.
Exactly.
Jessica, who does MAGA say is the new enemy of MAGA?
White liberal women.
White liberal women.
Yes.
So we have one of those enemies right in between us, Randy, right now.
Well,
Right?
let me give some more. There's some really interesting comments I want to just read real quick. They're all short.
Oh, yeah.
Before we
Absolutely.
watch our white women. One was, I love your message, but as somebody who lives in Utah amongst Utah Mormons, I have to ask, why would you continue to stay in an organized religion that carries a lot of teachings that aligns with the definition of a cult that is misogynistic and patriarchal, with a history of racism that has shown to be damaging to its members? And those are her blind spots. She wants to make Mormonism look like this clean religion if we would just say something right now. But Mormonism shows over and over and over again, it never says something. It never stand up to the bad guys. And then another comment was like, good message. But what are your views on LGBTQ persons who are not living in celibate life? Perhaps you would like to also let us know what your religion thinks about that as well. And that's a fair point. She wants to ignore, again, so many other things her religion does. And that's the only kind of like, problem we have right now. Another was like, I left the church in 2013 and I left the Republican Party when Trump ran for president. I'm heartbroken over the state of my country and the movement toward Christian nationalism and away from basic Christian values. Thank you for being here and for your honest and bravery. And I thought that was a good comment as well. Another was, I support your effort and understand your frustration with hypocrisy of your fellow members. I actually think all religions are complicit in sanctioning MAGA and other authoritarian and oppressive movements throughout history. And that's another interesting thing, like I mentioned before, right? Who supported the KKK? Christianity. Who met up with the Nazis? Lots of Christian leaders too. So a lot of religions.
And the Pope supported the Nazis.
Right?
Agreement with them.
Exactly. So religion always lays in bed with politicians. That's no news. Another comment was like, I can't tell you how damaging it has been for my personal faith to watch our leaders be silent. Heartbroken that the men I was taught would lead us through troubling times aren't leading. And my husband said the same thing. He's like, yeah, that's what I was taught. They will always lead us and be on our side through troubling times. Are those not troubling times? Another one was, I wonder if I went back to church with this message, if I would be accepted and embraced as Jesus would have done. I have a big shadow of a doubt. Another was, still waiting for leaders of the church to speak out. Their silence now and once again after today will make me question their judgment and humanity. I hope they have a voice. Towards this comment, another commenter said, agreed. They only had something to say about Charlie Kirk. This violence should not be political. They tell members sitting on the fence is serving the adversary. Their silence is speaking volumes. And I forgot about this. I thought it was a good point. They had in the Mormon news something about Charlie Kirk, but the crickets on ice. I can't believe that President Oaks, the champion of the Constitution, has not spoken out. It's frankly disgusting. And somebody towards that said, because if Oaks says anything, the DOJ will charge him criminally for the SEC shell corporation violations. The settlement was civilly settled by SEC. The DOJ can still file criminal charges. Just an interesting side information. And last one, amen, thank you. As a Latter-day Saint, it has been so hard for me to go. I feel like I'm surrounded by wolves in sheep's clothing. I know I should go for my Savior, but I worship from afar because I'm anxious when I'm there. I don't know who's on the Lord's side. Thank you for all your posts.
There you go. I think the Department of Justice has changed into the Department of Just Us.
Ooh, that's a good one. So now we can watch the white women are the problem. So this lady, politics girl, I like her. I think she's sometimes even invited in news forums or news shows. She's really sharp, on the point, and has a lot of humor often in it too. But she had an interesting side that I was not aware of it, and I just came across it, and I thought, interesting. I'm apparently target too. And that's the other thing with oppression. It never stops at just one group. It will go further and further and further. And and we saw a white woman got shot too. So she has some good comments on that.
Okay, here we go.
So I'm seeing a lot of this these days. What's crazy is I'm sitting here and I'm thinking to myself, you liberal women, because y'all are the worst. The white liberal women are.
Liberal white women have got to be the worst thing that's ever happened to this country.
One of the biggest threats in America right now is the white liberal American woman. They are so fucking radical.
White women, liberal white women are what is wrong with this country.
Fucking sick of the left and the media and all these white liberal women. Just go back to the house. Just go back to the house and bake some cookies, man. Like,
oh yeah, I mean, do I think liberal white women are more damaging than like Islamic terrorists? Probably.
It appears the right wing has a new enemy, a new group to target. ICE has already shifted how people feel about immigrants, even illegal immigrants, because everyone watching what our country has become as the government tries to eradicate them is pretty disgusted by what they're seeing. This horror that is being inflicted on cities like Minneapolis and children like Liam Ramos and citizens like Alex Preddy isn't serving to harden people against this enemy from within, but rather making people question their biases. Maybe we don't care that much if everyone is legal. Maybe we should have an easier path to citizenship. Maybe our economy runs pretty well with all this immigrant labor and skills. Was this mass deportation thing a bad idea? But one of the groups really making those points right now, making that crystal clear, who are really questioning what ICE is doing and getting in the faces of this group on the streets and on TV and online are white women. The very group that has perpetually traded their voice for their proximity to power. The group that by majority has sat on the sidelines while Black women and Indigenous people took the lion's share of the work. The group who by majority have voted conservative with their white husbands when elections came along. So watching the shift in people who look like me, this conscious awakening of a group this administration counted on, that the patriarchy relies on, is clearly making the powers that be nervous, because women are actually the majority of this country and we organize and run a lot of people's lives. If we all started working together, if white women chose by majority to stop carrying water for them, the status quo would be in trouble. And we can't have that. Not when this administration is so close to stripping us of our autonomy, of making it harder for us to vote with the SAVE Act, of getting us back in the kitchen with their focus on the family policies, of stripping us of birth control like they stripped us of abortion rights. They're so close to finally getting us to shut up, to get us out of higher education in the workforce and getting us back under the thumb where we belong. Well, it's not going to work if our mouthy little voices and educated little brains keep organizing protests and talking to our spouses and friends, not if we collectively decide that we don't like children being targeted or families being separated or people being brutalized by untrained violent goon squads in our streets. And nothing is more threatening to the white Christian patriarchy than the non-compliant white woman, because they need us on their side. So they've made us the enemy. And it's not so much an attack on white women as it's an attack on power, because they know we as a collective are making a difference and that our engaging as a group is going to be a problem. Because if we stop seeing the difference between us and all the other women whose rights are being stripped away, if we unite, then they are in trouble. The same way they'd be in trouble if the working class stopped fighting amongst themselves and united against the donor class, asking the government to work for all of us and not just the rich. So they are busying themselves, writing new laws to make it harder for us to get educated or divorced or keep us pregnant. So we are trapped. But that genie is going to be hard to put back in the bottle because we're just that much past our trick by date. So you already educated us and you told us to lean in. So we're not so likely to just give that all up so easily. And there's enough of us around who watched our mothers and grandmothers growing up and aren't falling for the glamour of the trad wife aesthetic you are trying to sell to the young. We know the truth. We know that kind of life can be a prison because we saw it firsthand, and we don't want anyone to go back to it. We understand that feminism was always about choice and equality. And despite the fact that we are still fighting for it, we're not just giving up on it. So while you literally throw money at creators to demean and belittle us and make us the new enemy of the state, to justify what you will do to us in the future by making us the enemy now, I don't think people are going to fall for it because we aren't the enemy. We're the final domino to fall.
There you go.
Yep. I love all the comments we just had. Honestly, they were all so on point. Like, yes, it's hate, hate, hate. It's also Mormonism has the same problem. Women are leaving right now. And I would say most of them are the white women too, right? I mean, there was a huge debate in Mormonism and ex-Mormons talking about it, right? The women are leaving. It's, you don't want to be the enemy. You don't want to be the person. What I think a commenter said just right now, well, we're good for cooking and, you know, cleaning up. So really important. Go back into the kitchen, right? And then the Mormonism, as we said in the beginning, we're against equal rights. I mean, what more do you need to know as a woman? And it's a patriarchal organization. But I thought it was just interesting that we are having a target on our backs as well, the white women.
Women are knocking on the back door of the church.
Yeah.
And they've got to open it one day, because we, Gene and I, know between men and women who are the most organized, who are the smartest, who are the most capable of leading. And it ain't the men. I'm telling you that now. So the church is really missing out on the opportunity to have better leadership.
Yeah,
as is the country.
Well, that's the thing, is we're all capable, and they're leaving out half of the capable people.
Yes.
That is, it's not, there's not one is better than the other.
Yeah.
You know, a little bit here and there, but yes, lots of capable people are.
I wanted to say the same thing, Gene. I think there's so many great guys. There's so many great men. It's not the thing between your legs that decides how great you are in organization, how clean you are. It's just here. We all have
I told you, Gene. I told you.
But I mean, like, you know, it's more the point, we're leaving half of the people out. Then they're great men who lead and are organized, and sucky men. But same with women. A lot of women don't want to organize and don't want to clean or be a leader too. But let the ones who want do it, no matter what's between your legs. And let the best one do the job, and not the gendered. Let the best one do it, who's really capable or even excited about those things. Let them do it. Easy peasy.
Amen. But like I said, I don't know how long it'll be before they open the door to allowing that. Because right now, their place, and this has been spoken by the prophet, is in the home, in the kitchen, preparing meals for their families. And by the way, for Relief Society, the Relief Society, you know, they bake the cookies and make the food, and the men make the pertinent decisions. And that just doesn't fly with me. Mm-hmm.
No, it's an old tale, and we're tired of it. It's just not, it's not 20, it is 2026, and this doesn't fit 2026 anymore.
Having been a police officer, I'll tell you that there are a lot of cops who will tell you that they hate female cops. They hate women cops.
Because?
You want to know why?
Mm-hmm.
They say that it's because if they get in a fight or something, they can't be, you know, have a good backup and all that. Is bullshit.
Yeah.
It's because women are more organized, and they naturally can shoot better than men. Every police academy will tell you that the woman in the class scores the highest because they have a steadiness of hand-eye coordination that men don't have. A lot of reasons these men will tell you they hate women cops is because women cops are better.
Oh, so competition.
Yeah. You know, it's like, I can't stand McCaffrey. He's the receiver on the San Francisco 49ers. I hate him. You know why? Because he's so damn good.
Yeah.
I would love to have him on my team. So I can't. So I hate him.
So that's a healthy hate. That's a healthy hate. Yeah. I mean, just, we're almost, I mean, over an hour. Just coming back to the church book quick. And now the church has no problem baptizing illegal immigrants for decades. Was never the problem. So why are you not standing up now for your members who got baptized? And you also sent them on missions knowing they were illegal. So you made sure they stay in the United States so that they're not getting in trouble. But it's also an issue overseas. And I found something, I'll read it, it's real short too, that it's not just an US thing. So somebody said, I served my mission in England. There are a large number of people from Africa that aren't legal. The area presidency sent a notice to all of its mission presidents to be read to the missionaries. We were told we are not the police force. The letter further instructed us that we still needed to get the address of those people so they could be baptized. that we should build rapport and help them be comfortable with sharing that information. I definitely got the message that the church didn't care if they were documented or not. They cared about converts. How interesting.
How interesting. I want to call the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I want to call them to action.
Yeah.
You have $300 billion in the bank.
Do something.
Come on.
And
Come on,
lawyers.
stand up. Where are you? Where are you? Stand up, Church of Jesus Christ. Stop with all that, with the fortunes you have, the power, the land, all of this political sway that you have. Start swaying the right way, the way Christ would sway.
Are you saying Jesus Christ? Are you saying Jesus Christ wouldn't hide behind his stocks and shares? And
Yeah, I'm
land
saying that he
ownership?
wouldn't even give a rat's rump about taxes. What he's after is protecting those who need protection. Those who are without sin, go ahead and chuck the first rock.
And for once, have a backbone. Say something that maybe doesn't make you super popular with everybody, but guess what? You'll never do. But for once, have a backbone. I mean, even in Germany, they were cuddling with the Nazis. You don't believe me? Read the book what's Moroni and the swastika or something, right? I mean,
Yep.
I'm a German. I had no clue, to be fair, how Mormonism acted during Nazi Germany. It's not pretty. It's not nice. I mean, just for once in your life, stand on the right side of history, have a backbone, say something, do something.
And sorry, let me restart my engine. And don't you feel like we are now, you know how we looked at North Korea, how we looked at Russia, how we looked at some of these nations that have dictators, and we thought, oh, that's horrible. Now the world is looking at us and saying, oh my gosh, they've got this rogue leader in there, and he's making a mockery of what America stands for.
Yep.
And you're right, Trevor Larson. The administration surrounding Trump is scared to death of him.
Yep.
Because
And scared to
that's
death
their
of
living.
of the Mormons who are supporting Trump.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They could be big tithe payers.
Yes, they always are.
Yeah. They're either big tire
donors.
pay. Yeah.
And you can buy them with religion, right? Have your wholesome, say just a couple of words. Like, who was it? Was it Napoleon Bonaparte who said religion is a great tool for politics? Wake up, Mormons. That's all. Because at the end of the day, Christian nationalists and evangelicals don't give a flipping F about Mormons because they're the wrong Christians. So get your act together. They don't care for you, Mormons in Utah. They care for your money and they care for your power in your state. But other than that, they don't give, like, they don't respect your religion at all.
Yep. And good point, Maven. The women are great at de-escalating tense situations. There's so many times I listed shooting as one thing, but there's so many reasons with their organization and their abilities. They can de-escalate. They have a softer voice. They tend to not let their emotions get out of control, and they don't have to outman the perp. So yeah, there's a lot of advantages to that.
And for, I mean, now I don't believe anymore that's nature, right? But as female in our society, towards Maven's point, it is allowed for females to tap into your emotions, to connect with somebody emotionally. For men, that's not masculine, right? So we kind of stole this from men, and then we're surprised that all the emotion that men are left with is anger, because that's the only masculine emotion, so to speak, right? And so in police work, or any work, actually, if you think about it, with people, you need to connect on an emotional level to either talk them down right first before some actions can do. And obviously then it's easier for women. But like I said, I was taught in the Mormon church, that's nature, it's my DNA. Fucking no, it's not.
Right.
Was not, I never dreamed of, the only dream was to being a mom. And I never felt like I was, I had a really great dad, and he was an emotional person and just soft, really. I don't think he ever yelled at me in my life. And I'm not saying I was a perfect child at all either. He was just a kind man. So luckily I had that role model. But on the other hand, that's why I always struggled, because I knew men who are who are good with feelings and connecting with their children. So what are you talking? I mean, that's always the flip-floppy thingy in Mormonism anyways, right? But it's not in our nature. It's just society allowed us as women to, have our feelings, and they stole it from men.
I am shocked when I look back in history and see how recent some of these legislatures passed laws to allow women to do things that they weren't allowed to do. In my lifetime, women weren't allowed to have credit cards.
Yeah.
Just the husband.
Exactly. Yeah. Or even that it's a thing that we had to have a law that there's marital rape. You know what I mean? Like, really? Or you had to tell men you can't marry children. Sorry, guys. Really? We have to have a law about that? I mean, it's so much suppression. It's so much patriarchy that literally broke men. And now they have to pretend this brokenness is maleness. And it's just not right. It's not right toward men either, and to women either. It just makes everything toxic. And that's what's on display. Back to ICE. It's toxic maleness, right? I mean, most of them are guys who are running around needing to prove their egos, needing to prove to some guru wannabe dictator, look at us, how cool we are. And
untrained, by the way.
Yeah.
It's like a grown-up buying alcohol for a group of teenagers and saying, hey, you know what? Why don't you go knock off some houses? Make us some money. And these teenagers are going to go crazy. That's exactly what ICE is. They're untrained. They're sloppy. They have no idea of what they're doing. And all they know is that they're the goons for Trump. And he will back them in anything they do. You want to shoot a woman, an innocent woman, with her wife in the car? Yeah, go ahead and kill her. Trump will back you.
Yeah.
You want to shoot a guy in the back 10 times?
I mean, where's your humanity? You know what I mean? Like, you still a person. Like, you think, let's say, even pretend this one instance, right? The woman would had her car driving towards him. Like, and you think it's okay to shoot, to take out a life for that? This is where we at. Everything I do now, I need to be afraid I get killed. Like, have a little bit of humanity here.
My son asked me, when he was a little boy, and I was a police officer at the time, and our cars were getting broken into in the apartment complex that we lived in. And he said, Dad, why don't you take your gun out there? And then when someone is, stealing our stereo and stuff, you can shoot them. And I said, if the keys were in the car and the door was open and he went and stepped in and tried to drive the car away, I wouldn't even think about shooting him. Even though he's taking something of value, would never take his life for that. Because I was a trained police officer, I know that the only time that I would ever take someone's life is to save someone else's life or my own. And this woman driving slow, not trying to hit him, but trying to go around him, but he's feeling tough. He's got that John Wayne syndrome with a gun in his hand and a badge on his chest and a big black vest that makes him look like a badass.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, he's the biggest pussy that's ever set foot on this land. To murder a woman like that in cold blood.
Yes. Maven had a great comment that, because I said, right, like, women are the emotional ones, yet we are not allowed to have anger. We have to be soft-spoken, talking to your intellect, right? Making you convinced of our things. And that's another thing that is so freeing for me as a woman, to just be pissed and say it, and not like trying to convince people like, hey, it would be nice if I could vote. Would be nice if I had bodily autonomy. Please, 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 can I have it? No, and that's so true too. Like, men only have anger and they're not allowed to cry or be soft. And women have all the other emotions, yet we're not allowed to be angry. Then we're bitches,
Go down to the next gas station to buy your Virginia Slim cigarettes. We don't have any women's cigarettes here. That was for real. Remember they came out with a cigarette? You've come a
long way, baby.
You've come along. Oh, shoot. You've come a long way, baby, to get where you got to today. You've got your own cigarette now, baby. You've come a long, long way.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
You've come a long, long way.
Exactly. Wearing pants, right? Women were not allowed to wear pants. I mean, there's so many silly things that we all sit here and we can't even fathom that, right? And yet America's going backwards, right? Now women, I mean, there are lots of places, and especially the evangelicals one, right, where they even want to take women's rights to vote away. They should be silent. They shouldn't be speaking in public. I mean, it's really, you hear those things and you're almost like, if that would be a movie or TV show, I would be like, that's crazy. That will never happen again. And yet
it is Handmaid's Tale.
Yes.
So go ahead, Gene.
Go ahead. Oh, well, I was going to say, I have set up to play some of the protests that happened on Friday. We do have ICE protests heat up in Salt Lake. So I thought we'd at least share one of those videos. But did you want to say anything before that, Randy?
Just that I think the message over the last 10 minutes is, ladies, continue what you're doing. Continue to rally the troops, because your voice means so much. You too, man.
Yeah, but can I add also, I'm learning this by also deconstructing patriarchy, how we as a white women have a bigger responsibility, because we also have more voices than our brown sisters. So to speak up and also acknowledge our privilege, that we have more as a white woman. I think there's like a triangle where there's the white man, and then the next level is the white woman and the black man, and below this is the black woman. So we also have to deconstruct this, that, you know, feminism also means that we as white women need to step up for our brown sisters and speak up. So we cannot allow to be silent as white women, even though now we have a target apparently on our backs too. But I mean, we all kind of have, if we're against this, but to live in fear is not the solution anyways.
Right. Well, absolutely. Great point.
So I'm going to try to play this. I'll make it big screen, see what happens, and then I'll go from here.
Yeah, Salt Lake City, guys.
It's a beautiful picture. I mean, I don't know how many Mormons were in there, and I'm just saying I don't know. But if you are, I commend you and I respect you for that. Keep it up.
I actually mentioned that I saw a high schooler who was coming home from a protest, and I thought I would share also her sign, but it's going to take me a second to get it to the screen.
But so it's so amazing, those high schoolers who going on the street and they're aware, and like, all we know, we need to speak up now. It's the time. Nobody can fall back anymore.
I told her, thank you for your service. So there she is. Can you read that sign? It says, when cruelty becomes normal, compassion becomes radical. And then there's a little no ice, X out of ice cube.
Yes. And that's the other problem, right? Like we just talked about it a little earlier with the whole thing. If you believe your God is on your side, cruelty is okay too. If your God tells you you need to kill Laban because they're apparently, you know, that the gold plates, there was no other way to get it, then your religion tells you sometimes it's okay to be cruel. And there's even like a, let's see if I find it, Latter Day Liberator. I won't quote it because we're almost out of time. But, ooh, that's shocking. There are some really crazy Mormons who speak up kind of to the like musket fire, not LGBT, but becoming more violent and speaking up and not being the peacemakers anymore either, because in all religion, there's also brutality and force.
Yeah, here we go.
To all the white boys I went to high school with that went on Spanish-speaking missions, you guys are awfully quiet about ICE right now. And I notice. You're awfully quiet. I haven't really seen you guys say anything. And it's kind of frustrating because you're willing to go to their country and tell them that they're broken and that they need saving and that they should join your church. But the second that they're getting kidnapped and detained and murdered on our streets, you're silent. And you could actually do a lot of good because you could be at these court hearings helping translate. And I just don't understand like why you have no energy to help and love thy neighbor. You know, in the Bible, God literally says the greatest commandment is this: love the Lord your God and love thy neighbor as thyself. And I'm not really seeing that fucking energy from you. All I'm seeing is you guys being quiet and getting your fucking swig and going on a date with another 19-year-old. But I'm not really seeing you speaking up about ICE. And I think you should. I think you should. Because you guys went all out to all these countries and you had a lot to say to them, but you have nothing to say. A lot of you are Christian in name only, but not in action. Because if you actually read your own fucking Bible, it says to love the Lord your God and love thy neighbor as thyself. It says to give the shirt off your back to your neighbor. It says to not collect earthly wealth. Like, it literally says to love others all the fucking time. And you guys like to pick and choose what others that includes. It's everyone, bitch. Even the people that don't look like you. Even the people that don't believe like you. You love them. And it really pisses me off that using the Lord's name in vain got misconstrued to mean saying, oh my God. No, using the Lord's name in vain is using his name to justify your fucking bigotry, your white supremacy. You guys need to speak the fuck up if you're Christian. I'm so sick of you. You went on a Spanish-speaking fucking mission and then you can't say shit about ICE.
I love her energy. I mean, that's one thing, but I thought she has a very valid point. I mean, and I'm not saying Mormon returned missionaries are lying when they're saying they love the country and the people. I mean, I want to take them at their word, but then show it. I mean, she has a fair point. They could help translating. Show your love and your passion for those countries. Besides that, it's kind of colonizing. So that's another thing I had to deconstruct from Mormonism, how missionary work is colonizing, telling them that their culture is not good enough, that their attire is not good enough, right? Mormons love their uniforms, white shirts, like American or West, I mean, Europeans don't have such a hard time because they have the same attire, but you know, that's colonizing. It's not a good look anymore either. So at least do good with whatever you experienced and what those cultures gave you. Love it.
You know, as Gene and I were growing up, the church had this, what they would call the Indian placement program. That was the name of it, where they would take these Lamanite kids, as they'd call them, take them away from their families on the reservation and bring them into a more sophisticated, as they would say, a more sophisticated culture where they can get an education and grow up and have some of the education that the privileged white kids were getting.
Can I ask you, do you guys know, because I only learned about this kind of recently too, did you had to be baptized to be part of that program?
You mean the person who's bringing the child into their home?
The kid, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, you had to be a member of the church in good standing.
So
And
to
then you
have a
would-
chance for education, you had to get baptized, not even if you have a testimony or anything, just to get that, let's say, opportunity.
Well, yeah, they taught these Native Americans a false history.
Right.
And of course taught that their skin is brown because of the sins committed by their ancestry. But that if they live righteously, that their skin will turn white again. And
I remember that.
I was engaged to a Navajo woman who thought the very thing. She would carry her parasol around everywhere. She was a newscaster and politician, but she was convinced that she would be light-skinned again because of her righteousness. And what they did is they soiled the culture of these Native Americans to say, your culture bad, our culture good, your church and worship bad, our church good. And you notice they're not doing that anymore because they were stripping these people of their culture.
Yes, but wasn't there even a prophet in General Conference who said that for that program that they noticed that the kids would get whiter? Like
I've heard talks where they would say, here's an example of a girl who says that her skin has started to lighten up because of her righteousness.
Where's the
No,
apology
shut
for
up.
Yes, exactly. Where's the apology for that screwed up statement from a living prophet in general conference? Not, like some conversation he had on the side. I mean, say disturbing one more time.
Well, you know what? You want to know what else will make you whiter? Move to frickin' Spokane, Washington, because when I lived in Arizona, everyone thought I was Mexican.
There you go.
Because I was just brown, because I was always in the sun. Now
That's
I
right.
come here and I look like Casper the Friendly Ghost. And I thought it was because I was more righteous. I don't know.
Randy has to machine generate a tan.
Yeah. Coleman just said it was Kimball who said it.
Yeah.
Oh, it
Kimball.
was Kimball. Yeah, there you go.
But the blessing to that is that Randy found a new love because he was using the tanning salon.
That's right. That's true. But then it was taken away from me, those blessings of using the tanning salon, because I got freaking skin cancer and had to have 3 surgeries to get it all dug out of me. So no
Ouch.
more tanning beds for Randy C. Watts.
But isn't that also the irony? All the white people who go on vacation to get tan, yet we have a problem with people who are tan by nature. If that's not jealousy, white jealousy, I don't know what is. Same with food and culture, right? When people say, like, we need more white culture. What is white culture? I don't care for white culture.
Yogurt is white culture in my book.
Cottage cheese.
Yogurt and cottage cheese.
Yeah. And that's not exciting food.
No.
So are there any other things we need to share?
No, I mean, not from my side.
I can't think of anything really, except for those of you who haven't heard, we covered a story where there were 4 children taken out of the United States by their mom, who literally kidnapped them from the father and departed the U.S. because she thought that the end times were coming, that there would be earthquakes and volcanoes and Salt Lake would be destroyed. And so she was on the run from that and dropped them off at an orphanage in Croatia. They were recovered and they're going to be back home shortly with their daddy.
Well, the police took them to the orphanage, right? Because the one mom who was already in Croatia, her son noticed that they were looking for this family. And the other mom was like, oh, I have nothing of that. I thought you were here on free will. So she took the other wife with her kids. So the other mom took the doomsday mom to the police station. And they took the kids to the orphanage.
Oh, okay. Well, the first story that I read was they were dropped off at an orphanage. I thought mom dropped them off.
No, later I read, and then I think Rebecca posted about it too, that it was the police who took them, the kids, in custody. Because that was against the laws, but especially since she also faked the documents. So that's under US law. Obviously, you cannot do that.
But still, there's laws that are in the current country that the children are in that have to be gone through systems and procedures. Yeah. Attorneys are going to be involved,
exactly.
And politicians maybe, and they're going to have to straighten all this out, and it's going to cost some money. And I understand there is a GoFundMe for it. I don't know exactly where it is, but okay, probably look it up.
But help me out. The thing I cannot make reason of is, my understanding was, as a Mormon, I mean, I never understood or really knew about those doomsday Mormons. That came to me was Lori Daybell and everything. So what I don't understand is, I thought Mormons believe when the second coming is coming, that you go to Adam Omni Aman or whatever, right? So why are those doomsday? I mean, she's not the first Mormon doomsday mom taking her kids out of the country. I don't understand the logic in why is Croatia better than the US? Is there a thing that if Jesus coming, the US is a horrible country and we need to flee? That's like, I really cannot make any reason out of this action of those women. Why
Jessicca,
are they?
You'll understand it if you read Visions of Glory, which is the same book that
I know often. Yes,
it's the narrative of that book that she's going by the earthquakes and all that, and she just follows along his dream, and now she's seeing it too. And
you read it, Randy?
Yes, I did.
Wow.
You're not quaking in your boots that Jesus is coming?
I didn't have any desire to kill any of my family after I read it. Weird.
You haven't killed a one? Yeah,
I haven't, and I haven't even seen a zombie yet. But I'm looking out for him because, by golly, I know I'll know him when I see him.
Well, you know the handshakes, right? You can figure out if they're good zombies or bad zombies.
Yeah, that's right. I know how to determine if if they're resurrected zombies or non-resurrected zombies.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's a good connection. I haven't made that. That was always to me like, I don't get it. I thought Mormons stay in America if the second coming, but it's the new Bible.
Well, you know, if you're going to make up that you see zombies and make up that you died and came back and that Jesus talks to you now or whatever they're making up, you can make up a whole new thing.
That's true. And again, violence in Mormonism and religion, right? Killing their children because they're possessed by demons, or Jody Hildebrand and Frankie Rubin abusing their old children for their good, right? They were thinking they're saving them. So that's just, to me, really, really disturbing now in a lot of religions, or I would even say most of religion, that once you believe your God is talking to you, where back in the day you would go in an asylum if somebody's talking to you in your head, and kind of justifies anything, then you are worse than you think what any atheist is. Because guess what? Like you just said, how many people did I wanted to kill or rape since I left the church? Zero.
Crazy.
That's right. Under atheism, people that do bad things, it's their fault. It's the bad person's fault. Under
it takes religion
of religions, there could be some evil influence that's causing you to do something bad.
Exactly.
And
it takes religion to make a good man do bad things.
Right.
Who could it be? Satan?
Well, he hasn't killed anyone yet.
And, you know, I mean, if you believe in Mormonism, God isn't going to destroy Salt Lake City, at least until the Winter Olympics is over.
That's true. So that's a good thing.
Coming up in like 8 years or whatever it is.
But now they have to hide all the street people, right? The homeless people.
I think it's rich that the church has said that they're not doing more, basically because we believe they have the right to enforce their laws and blah, 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 right?
Yeah.
How rich is it that they build temples in sites that where they're not supposed to, where the zoning says absolutely not? They don't give a rat's ass. They just start building it anyway and turn their Curtin McConkie attorneys over to the cities and sue them.
Yeah.
Does that seem a little hypocritical, or am I on drugs?
You are not.
Or both, you know.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, money and power can ruin someone and can ruin an organization. And that church has too much power and too much money.
Yep, a Rooney.
Yep.
Well, people are willing to spend what they need to spend to be with their families forever.
Family costs money.
I paid a great deal of money to live with my late wife in the life hereafter when I was a TBM.
Yep.
And then realized that I might as well take the money and gone to Vegas and gambled with it, because I'd probably come home richer than it left me.
Or do more good than the church does, because the church gives 0.05% to charity. So
yeah, right.
I can easily outdo that.
Yeah. Feed my sheep. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Feed my sheep.
Yeah. Jesus apparently needs pockets full of money, right? Second coming. That's what they said in the SEC letter, the first presidency, right? Like apparently second money, we need lots of money. This time
I'm waiting for my letter, Jessicca.
Yeah.
From that organization.
Yep.
Anyway, we are so well. Let me just tell you that I'm sorry if I seemed angry today, but I'm very passionate about this. We have a man stripping our rights away, stripping away, ignoring the laws, ignoring morality, everything that kids are supposed to look up to when they want to become the president of the United States. And we haven't had that.
Mm-mm.
And it's taking its toll on our nation, the greed. As far as I'm concerned, put this in quotes, Trump is the Antichrist, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
I know that's a bold statement, but everything he does is anti-Christ. Christian.
And again, I thought as a Mormon, that's politics. You have good politics and bad politics. And yes, it's frightening and it's also exhausting. But yet here I thought the church or churches in general should be the beaming, the light that fights against those things. And again, I mean, for now, all we know is crickets. And that's even more disturbing to me, honestly, than a bad president, because those are people of the world, right? But where's that church that taught us they're so good, they only stand for good and they stand up for what's right?
Right. Choose the right when the choice is placed before you, or whatever's going to be best for your 401k.
Or by their fruit, you shall know them. The fruits right now don't look so good, the Mormon fruit.
They're not looking good.
No.
We are not the land of milk and honey anymore.
Nope. And definitely not supporting anyone but ourselves.
Well, who knows where it'll end, but I hope that anyone listening, if you have any reach, share this. Let people know. Let people know what's going on. Share the videos with them. Just share the podcast. Let them listen to some of these things that's going on within the church and without the church. But yeah, take action if you can. We're taking action here by trying to get these messages out to people who listen. And, we
always,
can only
always educate yourself. Don't believe us three. Like maybe we said something that we didn't have the full picture. None of us are claiming we have it all, but I think Gene said it. We come from a nice place.
I have it all. Did you not know? I received revelation right from God,
Randy
right here. These lights over my head, that is not light bulbs. That's the revelation pouring down.
No, but I mean, if you have something, prove us wrong. Read for yourself. Is it true what we said about what Mormon leaders said? Are they maybe giving more than we just said? I'm happy. I'm really happy if I could be proven wrong. Believe me.
We'll take you to dinner if we're wrong.
That's right. And in honor of Megan Connor, who's not here and was one of the founding members of Salt Lake Expositor, I'm going to share Floodlit. If you go to Floodlit, you can click on the main page and you can scroll down and you can go see what the most recent news items are. And so there's been a Boy Scout official who suspended SA perpetrators, was later convicted of possessing and distributing CSAM. And you can look those letters up. And then a survivor is looking for academic study participants. Women who experience patriarchal violence in the LDS Church should go check out that. And so I thought I would just do that because we want everybody, if anybody's been affected by SA, if your story isn't out there and maybe you're hiding it because you don't want to embarrass anybody that knows you don't want to get your name out there, you can be an anonymous source for Floodlit, and they can do some research and then maybe post something about something that you've come across.
And those of you who don't know what CSAM is, it's something that the police would find on his computer.
Yep.
And you hear about it all the time.
And also, if you are maybe a believing member or struggling and you don't believe us that it's that bad in the Mormon Church, Floodlit is really solid. They only have cases from court. They have links where you can check it out if we're all wrong or if it's maybe worse than you thought.
As far as
I haven't heard.
Wade Christofferson is still going through the legal system.
Yep.
Were you going to mention that, Randy?
Yep. I was just going to say, I haven't really heard any updates. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, gang.
Great reminder.
Yep.
You know, I've got to tell you all, you did amazing when you prayed for the Seahawks to win the championships. Now they're in the Super Bowl. So, let's see. What time is the Super Bowl? Yeah. So you still have time. Yeah, say a little prayer. Super Bowl is in 1 week. And say a little prayer that the Seahawks will win. Even if you like the Patriots, come on. It's the Seahawks. Come on. The Patriots have won enough.
The good thing from all this is, right, which I love, even if you left the Mormon Church, we still have the Spirit and even our prayers are answered. How come?
That's right. Actually, they're probably answered quicker now.
Yeah. still get blessings.
Right.
And I'm an apostate. Wonder how that works.
Well, go forth, dear friends. Share this video with as many as you can and like it. And hey, you're on Latter Daily Digest and you've probably subscribed, but if you haven't, subscribe. And MomoNomo, by the way, which is my channel, hop on MomoNomo and subscribe and check out the TikTok channel I have too, because there's a lot of good stuff there. I have to say it's good because, you know, it's good. And Jessicca, tell us about your website or your social media sites.
Well, I'm just on Facebook and Instagram under my name, Jessicca Frenkel. I'm always happy to befriend you, but I'm looking forward to some connection to ex-Mormons because I'm really tired of aggressive Mormons. Unfortunately, there are plenty. So if you seem like you're not pro-Trump and you are fine with being respectful conversations, I'm happy to have you. Other than that, you can still follow my reels. There's nothing you have to do. You can just look them up on Facebook.
And if you forget Jessica's name, it's easy. Just pull up Google, pull up German Exmo woman, and boom, there's a picture of Jessicca right there.
That's right. And Randy and I will be in Tim Rathbone's living room on Tuesday for Tuesdays with Tim. And we had a bunch of suggestions for shows, and we haven't nailed down what the topic's going to be. But if you enjoy just some fun conversation, Tuesdays with Tim. And Randy, who did we interview late last week?
We interviewed, you're talking about the gentleman we interviewed?
Probably.
Yeah, he's he was a member of the LDS. He was excommunicated for his beliefs on polygamy. And his name, Gene is going to tell you that right now.
That's right. It's
dude.
Moroni Jessup.
That sounds very
right.
polygamy.
That's very, very Mormon,
right?
Too, that name.
Yep.
Moroni Jessup.
Liberal white woman, if you want to be added to the stage and say goodbye to everybody, post something in the chat.
I love that liberal white woman.
Otherwise, we'll just
yeah, stay there and we'll bring you on.
Post show.
Okay, gang. Thanks again.
Right.
We love you all.
Thanks, everybody.